But in congenital heart disease, it can be like a disrupted kind of a jigsaw puzzle where all the pieces are helter-skelter. So something which is supposed to be on the top is on the bottom, something on the supposed to be on the right is on the left. So all those kind of abnormalities can happen. So these make pediatric heart disease or congenital heart disease incredibly difficult to really understand. So I have been interested over the last more than a decade in advanced cardiac imaging because been trying to find better ways to look at the heart and to manage cardiac problems in a more in a better sort of way. So I have been involved with cardiac CT scans and cardiac MRIs, and I helped establish our country's first cardiac MRI program for congenital heart disease at my hospital more than 10 years back. And despite having all kinds of technology and all kinds of imaging in our hands, and despite all the skills that we as physicians and surgeons have learned, still sometimes we are, rendered helpless in the face of incredible anatomical complexities that nature can throw at us. So, with specifically with regard to 3D printing, I would like to share a story which is very close to my heart, and this actually is how I started out in 3D printing to begin with. So, this story is about 6 years old, and this is the story of a young boy called Hari. And Hari had come to me in the year 2014, and Hari, even when he was a small baby or an infant, he had been diagnosed to have a very complex heart disease, something we call as a very complex double outlet right ventricle. His heart, instead of being on the left side, was on the right side, and there was a big septal defect within his heart, and there was obstruction to the pulmonary artery which goes to his lungs. So he had a multitude of problems. And even though he had been detected to have a heart disease as a young baby, he had been refused surgery repeatedly. Each time the doctors would tell him that his heart disease is extremely complex and nobody can touch him, nobody can operate him, and he doesn't have long to live. So he was really struggling. He and his family were really struggling through a heart disease of this nature, where doctors, even at higher centers, were just refusing to operate him. So in 2014, when he came to our institution, we did an MRI, and as an imaging specialist, I could make some sense out of these images, and I felt convinced that yes, we could operate him. But when I discussed his case with my surgical teams, they were not convinced because they were looking at images just as you are seeing these images on the screen. Similarly, they would look at these images on the computer as moving images, but at the same time they're like two-dimensional images, and they couldn't really understand the depth of these structures or the orientation. It was very difficult to communicate the intricacies. So because of that, he was repeatedly refused surgery, even at my own center. This was a point of time when medical 3D printing in a big way had not yet come into India, and I collaborated with the company Materialize from Belgium, and I pleaded with them that I have this child who needs surgery, and he needs uh, probably, maybe, if we can create a 3D print of his heart, it will help our team understand his heart disease a little better, and maybe we can do something for him. So Materialize helped me in actually creating a 3D print of his heart. Um, this was way back in 2014. This was one of the first cases of cardiac 3D printing in the country, and so with this 3D model in the hand, it really became a game changer because my team members were now not just seeing this heart on a computer screen, but they could actually hold the heart in their hands, and this gave them a much better perspective into the heart disease because they now knew the exact size, dimensions of the heart, all the internal structures, all the blood vessels. All these aspects became crystal clear to them. Things which were extremely difficult and complex to understand because these are structures in the three-dimensional space, very difficult for even expert imagers and even surgeons to understand. With the 3D model in the hand, that understanding became really good. And with the help of the 3D print in the hand, the team came to a decision that yes, he can be operated, and Hari underwent a successful heart surgery. But the story doesn't end here. There was something very unique about the story because Hari at that time was 17 years old. He was a 11th standard student in school, and he had been suffering with heart disease all his life. He had been unable to go to school regularly, and he used to be so sick and so blue that he could not go to school every day. So he used to sit at home and study, and he was a brilliant kid, and he was an innovator himself. So right from the time when he was in fifth or sixth standard, he had started to read about electronics, about technology. He had started building things even when he was in school. And coincidentally, about 6 months before his heart surgery, he had himself built a 3D printer at home. And at that point of time, he did not know that the same technology was going to help him later. But he, sitting at home, studying himself, learning about 3D printing, being interested in technology, he had assembled his own 3D printer at home. So when after his surgery, he told me about this, I was like really surprised that this young child, who was himself suffering from heart disease, had actually forayed into technology himself, and this started off a very lasting partnership between me and Hari. So after his surgery, Hari became a technology partner with me. He went to college after that, graduated in electronics, and he has traveled across the world with me. That's Hari with me in Barcelona, attending the World Congress of Pediatric Cardiology, Cardiac Surgery. Then in other photographs, you see Hari with me in the United States of America at the Mayo Clinic, the 3D printing lab in Mayo Clinic. And that's Hari also at the Stratasys headquarters in Minneapolis. Hari now not only gives workshops for people on 3D printing and its applications in medicine, he has actually founded very recently his own startup called Concept 3D Innovators, through which he intends to leverage 3D printing in the field of medicine. There is another story. This is another little baby that came to me a couple of years back, and this baby had what we call as an absent sternum. So you see that the baby doesn't have a breastbone that is supposed to cover the chest, and as a result, the heart is open to injury. The heart is, you can see the heart beating underneath his chest because he doesn't have the breastbone to cover or protect the heart. And this again was a problem for which doctors had told him that surgery is very difficult, it may not be possible, etc. And this is somewhere again where we used 3D printing technology. We used a CT to image his problem very clearly to understand what was happening. We created a virtual model of his rib cage and his absent sternum. We went ahead and printed out his a model of his thoracic cage, which was exactly 1:1 in scale. And when we sat down with our surgical team, with the plastic surgeons, the cardiac surgeons, everybody sitting together, we could make a very clear plan as to what could be done. Now, with the help of this model, we were also able to explain to the patient's own relatives, as to the parents, as to what the problem was, what we're going to fix it. And using these 3D printed models, we were able to plan the surgery, which was to recreate the absent sternum using a piece of the patient's own rib. And we simulated that whole surgery and the surgical steps using these 3D models. And the surgery was executed exactly as we had planned. And we were able to actually cure this child, and child is living a very healthy and fruitful life today. So these were stories which actually inspired us to set up our country's first in-hospital point-of-care 3D printing lab at my hospital at Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences. So these are pictures from our lab. We've got the today it's a very thriving 3D printing lab within the hospital itself, which is run entirely by me and my other physician colleagues, where we innovate constantly every day, finding new solutions for complex medical problems, playing with the software, playing with the 3D printers. And we've got two desktop 3D printers within this lab, and we've got software from Materialize. Materialize has been a very important partner for us in this whole process, and we've been using Materialize Mimic software for segmenting models for our patients. So coming back to why 3D printing in cardiology, again repeating the slide which I showed right at the beginning. Why is it so important in cardiology? Because cardiology throws up some of the most challenging problems for surgical interventions. It is and the range of heart diseases are very wide and diverse, and the impact on the health of individuals is huge. For example, if Hari had not been operated in time, we may have lost somebody who was so talented. Whereas with the help of technology today, he is a young and healthy and thriving individual who's making a difference in this world. So in cardiology, we see both structural and functional heart disease, and the structural problems of the heart can either be congenital or acquired. Congenital are the ones that I spoke about, the ones that you're born with. Acquired are problems that you acquire later in life, like coronary artery disease, rheumatic heart disease, etc., which can affect the coronary arteries or the heart valves. The heart is particularly challenging because it's so difficult to accurately image, and addressing the structural anomalies can be extremely complex. And the range of anomalies can be CHD, then it can be problems with the aorta, hugely dilated aneurysmal aortas, or what we call as aortopathies or arteriopathies. You can have acquired valvular disease, which can be as a result of rheumatic heart disease or other degenerative processes which damage the heart valves, forcing us to opt for a valve replacement or repair, which are very complex procedures to plan, and of course coronary artery disease. Treating them requires surgery and transcatheter interventions, which by themselves are extremely complex. But the tools that we have for planning, the conventional tools are very, very basic. You look at CT scans, MRIs, and angiograms and echocardiograms, and you try to figure out the three-dimensional anatomy, and that is just the information with which a surgeon or an interventionist goes into the theater with. And many a times you can have surprises on the table which completely turn the surgical plans on the head, and these can lead to complications, unexpected problems during the procedure, etc. And these problems occur despite the fact that most of the personnel involved in such kind of procedures have excellent skill and understanding. But despite that, understanding the three-dimensional spatial aspects of the cardiovascular anatomy is very complex. So these are the ways in which we conventionally image the heart. Echocardiograms and angiograms and CT scans and MRIs. As you can see, all of them are basically, even if they are moving dynamic pictures, they're basically images that you see on a computer screen. And you still have to imagine a lot. You have to really put together the three-dimensional anatomy in your own brain, and that becomes a very dicey thing when, especially when you're going for very complex procedures like repairing the heart. You're going with these images as your roadmap, and that makes this process very difficult. The way 3D visualization of any sort helps is by helping us as physicians understand complex three-dimensional anatomy, like in Hari's case, and in planning the surgery or intervention for congenital heart disease as well as for valvular heart disease. Coming to as to why 3D printing can be helpful in these situations is 3D printing is a technology which actually helps us take out these images, right, from pluck them out of the video screen or the TV screen or the computer monitor out into your hand. Now with the models in your hand, you can really, you really understand the shape, form, size, and orientation of these structures, the three-dimensional aspects of it. You can play with it. You can think deeply about it. The tactile feel of having an organ, an exact replica of an organ in your hand, is incredibly useful. It's a very immersive kind of an experience. It really enhances our understanding about how these structures are related to each other, where the heart hole in the heart is, how do we divert the blood from that hole into this particular blood vessel. So these are things that it is incomparable. You can never get that kind of an understanding without a 3D print. Not only in physician understanding, it also helps in communication, because otherwise it's very difficult to communicate this kind of complex anatomy to your teammates or to the patient's own relatives. But with 3D prints, that becomes very simple, because you can actually hand these prints over and explain, and it becomes very easy to understand. And studies after studies have shown that it's an excellent communication tool. And one can actually sit with these models and simulate surgery. One can One can even print these structure the heart out in materials which are very similar to the physical properties of the heart. You can actually use a scalpel to cut it open, pass sutures, make interventions. So it becomes an excellent tool for surgical planning as well as simulation. So this is how one would look at the uh, at the model of a heart. So here one has opened up the model. The model has been specifically designed to really show the structures of interest, which is a large hole inside the heart, which my index finger is showing. So with that, and you understand the relationship of this hole to the various other structures, and this really helps the surgeon in getting a unique perspective into the inside of the heart. This is another young boy who had like Hari, who had a very complex heart problem, and he had been refused surgery for nearly 13, 14 years of his life. But when we had a surgical model or a 3D printed model in the heart of the heart in our hands, the physicians were easily able to plan surgery for this young kid. And today he is again going to college and doing very well. It's a fruitful life which is now really living up to its true potential, just because technology enabled physicians to understand his disease well enough for them to really operate on it. So that's where it becomes a really game changer, and it becomes something that really touches lives. This was a young baby with one of the most complex varieties of heart disease that you can find, which is called a crisscross heart. So world over, even with people who have the highest level of expertise in cardiac imaging, even for them to really image and understand crisscross hearts well enough to safely operate is very difficult. So this was again one of our very early cases from 2015-16, when we didn't have our own 3D printing lab in our hospital. We didn't have printers. We had software, but we didn't have printers. And at that time, we collaborated with Anatomist 3D in Mumbai to create this 3D model. And this helped us plan this child's surgery. This child, again, is doing incredibly well today. These are other examples where 3D prints really help. So it makes a big difference having a 3D print in our hand to really understand how we are going to connect these disconnected vessels, how deep are we going to make our incisions, how are we going to plan our surgery. So this kind of planning, looking at these models, really cuts down surgical times by hours. It reduces blood loss, it reduces complications, it makes sure that the post operative surgical recovery occurs quickly. So all these things become incredibly useful. This is an anomaly of the aortic arch called the double aortic arch in a newborn baby. It's absolutely impossible to get this kind of a perspective just looking at computer screens. Here we understand that the exact size and shape and structure of these blood vessels, and that deep understanding that surgeons get looking at these models really helps in planning surgery. This is again extremely rare abnormality of the aorta, where the aorta is twisted around like a jalebi. And even using CT and MRI, it's almost impossible to get this kind of a perspective, whereas here one is actually able to hold the structure in the hand and really understand it deeply. And this deep understanding is what goes into helping us provide accurate treatment to these children. So this is again a case where we are actually simulating how we would close a heart and divert blood through the hole into a blood vessel which is located abnormally on the opposite side from where it should be. And when we go to the theater, what's incredible about this technology is that it gives such a realistic picture that what we see on the 3D prints is exactly what we find on the surgical table. And we have done several validation studies to look at how well this correlation happens, and we've been able to establish, not just at my center, but internationally, lots of papers have come out which have shown excellent correlation between what we obtain by 3D printing and the surgical findings themselves. So these are all, and these are all situations where the situation is the most complex of all, and 3D printing comes to our rescue in understanding and solving these problems. So these were all situations where we were talking about using 3D prints for surgical planning. But it doesn't stop at that. We can do a lot more with 3D prints. We can use 3D print for cardiac devices, for either customization or modification of existing medical devices, or to develop new patient-specific devices. And there is no limit to as to uh, what we can achieve if we think innovatively about how to adopt this technology for medical devices. This is an example. This is an example of a patient um, uh, with pulmonary valve regurgitation, where we use a 3D print to customize a device, a stent valve device for this patient, which was designed exactly for this patient's own heart. These are some other papers. G.D. Wang from Ford institutions in the US has been using 3D printing quite innovatively over the last several years in planning a transmitral device, the mitral valve repair, transcatheter mitral valve repairs. And she has pioneered the way in which 3D printing, 3D prints and 3D models are used for accurate planning of the size and type of the device, valve device being used inside the heart. And similarly, for now, more and more newer valve devices are coming in: aortic valve, pulmonary valve, mitral valve, etc. So newer techniques are coming up which use 3D printing for perfecting the kind of valve that is implanted in a patient. So you can actually, instead of just getting an off-the-shelf device, you can actually create one which is exactly designed for that particular patient. Similarly, for aortic stent grafts, you can customize your stent graft for the type and nature of the aortic aneurysm in that particular patient. Look at this particular patient, one of my own patients who's got an extremely twisted aorta. It's absolutely impossible to get an off-the-shelf device for somebody like this. But 3D printing would help us actually customize a device for this specific patient, and we may be in the future be able to even print out these devices as a whole. The whole personalized stent graft, maybe it may be possible for us to print out, as has been stated in this particular paper. Now, with novel materials getting printable, particularly nitinol and PTFE. Nitinol is a material which has shape memory, and this is a material out of which many cardiac devices are built, because you can actually twist and squeeze it to push them through catheters. But when you release them in their appropriate position, they adopt their intended shape and form. So they're extremely valuable to use as cardiac devices for closing holes or stents, etc. And they can be used as self-expanding stents. So nitinol is now becoming printable, which opens up really dramatic possibilities of creating novel cardiac devices, arterial stents. It's limitless possibilities that can happen. And I'm sure this technology is going to come to us, and we are soon going to be able to do a lot more than just surgical planning. So we may be able to develop novel personalized devices using all these things like PTFE, nitinol. We may be able to build patient-specific cardiac valves, prosthetic conduits, devices to close septal defects, stent grafts, etc., etc. And bioprinting applications are also rapidly expanding, and now more and more tissue printing processes are coming into the picture. And and it may be possible for us to create live tissue based devices or processes for treating heart diseases. It is still on the research benches, but I am sure that it is not going to be too long before we are going to be able to actually apply them in the real world medical practice. So it's not just printing, but now we are also at a level of much more advanced visualization, and virtual surgical planning becomes important. For example, this is a young baby which came to us with a complex heart disease. We didn't even have time to print this heart, but just doing a virtual visualization using the same 3D printing software, in this case, the Mimic software was used. We were able to get such a clear perspective into the internal anatomy of the heart. So the development of the 3D printing software is as important as the hardware development itself. So this really gives us a great perspective into the type of heart disease, and many times we may not even need to physically print out the object, but visualization can help. Augmented reality and virtual reality are becoming a reality as well. And recently, we have started collaborating with a company right here in India called WowExp, and they are helping to develop augmented reality platforms for visualizing cardiovascular structures and then further extending into other medical specialties. So this is augmented reality visualization of a model of a heart, which can be used for explaining, for education, for communication, and it becomes very immersive and very really interesting and immersive way of really understanding structures. And this is being done right here in India, and I'm sure this is going to find a huge amount of applications. And the same platform was used to look at some of the so when we do 3D printing, we create STL files which are eventually printed out. But in many cases, these files, instead of printing them out, we could just visualize them using augmented reality or virtual reality, and this would give us an almost equal perspective into these structures. So these are tremendous new technologies that are coming up, and we call them extensions of 3D printing or 3D plus technologies. So all of this has led to the development of the point of care medical 3D printing lab at Amrita at my hospital, which now no longer is just about cardiology. It started with cardiology, but now it helps almost all other specialities in 3D printing. It's become a really thriving ecosystem for multidisciplinary work: craniomaxillofacial surgeons, orthopedicians, neurosurgeons, vascular surgeons, hepatobiliary surgeons. Everybody is now using this technology, and we have won several awards for our work over the last several years in this field. And to summarize, 3D printing is a tremendous transformative technology with great potential, and extending into 3D plus technologies, which include AR and VR and mixed reality. And it is going to be an integral technique in the medicine of the future, because it's going to offer great degree of precision, it infinite ability to innovate and customize care for patients. It's patient specific care, and many more novel applications which are yet to be discovered. Thank you very much.
Thank you, doctor. It was really very insightful. More importantly, I think you covered almost the entire event in one go, because we it is very you summarized it very well, and you had all these inputs starting from something which is really uh, encourages me in terms of creating an entrepreneurship in a child who's actually been suffering from a.
That's a really inspiring story, and he may be here tomorrow to participate in some of these proceedings.
Yes, and that's a long, and that's a story that really uh, encourages us, because we need more entrepreneurs who can come forward in this to serve in this in the technology, and I'm sure there's a great opportunity. And then you spoke about the various other use cases that you shared. I mean, it's very touching, doctor. It was really uh, good to have a good presentation from your end, and then also talk about 3D printing, AI, and AR, because that's also a conscious effort in terms of promoting these three technologies. We started with 3D printing, but we see a great future going forward with 3D printing, AR, and AI as an integration. So 3D graphy would be working in those lines, and it's always a pleasure to have somebody who, like you, who could come and share an insight covering all those aspects. Thank you so much. Now we will quickly go to some questions, if there is any, to the audience. So on your right hand side, doctor, you can just click on the discuss. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions posted for people to for yeah, please. I think the first question is from yeah. So Dr. John, your opinion on 3D printed customized stents for patients. Would it be an unnecessary intervention or not? Will the cost change?
So I think customized stents are going to be a very important part of therapy in the future, because we face these issues often in pediatric cardiology, because we are using stents which are made for adults. We are using it in babies, and there are no real stents made for specifically made for certain subsets of populations. And as you know, the human body is so diverse, and there's so much of variability in anatomy. It's really we are really overcalling it when we use standard off the shelf devices for all patients. So considering the variations in the shape, size, and structure of blood vessels and other structures, customizable stents are really going to make a big difference. And I'm sure with the material science evolving and technology evolving, it may actually be possible to create these devices at lower cost than what device companies actually sell them to us at. So I think there is a great scope for this technology in the future.
I'm sorry, that question was from Dr. Sheikh Firdos. I'm so sorry. Yeah. But then, yeah. Doctor, you can just look through. I mean, you
Okay,
have.
your opinion on 3D printing customized stents, that one I have answered. Then, how has been your experience with softer models that are 3D printed versus hard plastic models? How important is transparency of these soft tissue models? And does these soft tissue models provide higher clinical values? Hi, Ketan. Good to interact with you on this platform. And for the, of course, you would be well aware of it, but for the general audience, the material in which we create these devices, these models, really depends upon the study question. What are we trying to really understand here? So if it is purely about very simple, straightforward anatomical aspects, just printing them out in hard materials is more than enough. Soft materials add to the realism of the model, number one. And number two, if you intend to really, simulate surgery by, using a scalpel on them, cutting them open and trying to put something in those kind of situations, of course, it will be useful to have a soft model in a material which is as close to the elasticity and mechanical properties of a native heart. Transparency again adds to the aesthetics, and it adds to the involvement which the physician feels with the model, because he can look inside. So functionality wise, not really mandatory, but yes, it adds to the aesthetics, and it increases the user involvement in these models. And um, thanks, John, and thanks, Aishi. Okay, uh, Thiru, thank you for encouraging. So Anup has a question. How do you feel metal 3D printing can be helpful in customized stents? So the specific metal that I, as a cardiologist, am interested in terms of stents is nitinol, and and probably stainless steel. These are the materials in which usually cardiac devices and stents are made of. Nitinol is particularly important, as I showed in one of my slides, because nitinol has one, it is inert when it's placed inside the heart, and number two, it has got shape memory. So most of our devices and stents, especially the self-expanding stents, are made of nitinol, because you can actually squeeze them, twist them, and push them through catheters, and when you release them in their destination, they will expand and take the position in which they take the shape in which they were manufactured. So nitinol becomes incredibly important when we are talking about metallic cardiac devices. Of course, for orthopedic implants and craniomaxillofacial implants, etc., you have titanium and other metals. But for cardiac devices, nitinol becomes very important, and I'm very excited that nitinol is beginning to be printed. And well, Lalit has a question: can we print from echo data? Echo still has a lot of unfavorable signal noise ratio. I'm trying with along with Materialize to see if we can kind of better optimize the way in which echo can be translated. Of course, it's possible to do, and it becomes important also because echo helps us to visualize the valves and moving structures much better than CT or MRI. So if we can integrate echo data with the CT MRI images, it can give us a more wholesome perspective. But we are still a little far from a really perfect echo or ultrasound based 3D print, but I'm very sure that we will get there. I'm particularly excited to look at fetal echo images, where we may be able to look at fetal ultrasound and predict the complexity of heart disease inside a fetus. So that would be fantastic. Anup, thank you. Yes, I would definitely participate, and I would be very curious. to see the potential for metal 3D printing.
So good, Doctor. Thank you so much for your time, and it will be interesting. Second half it will be completely covering the technology aspects of the business.
Fantastic. I look forward.
Morning, back to back, we have sessions from clinicians of expertise who are end users of these technology who have come up with their inputs. And now I see that many of the clinicians are already in the game. They already know, like you, who's been in the space for many years now, Mahesh. I'm sure that's the key for us to see that how end users can adapt these technologies and benefit. So to good, fantastic. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time once again.
Sure.
Be short. I would be making you busy for today and tomorrow because we will follow up.
It'll be my pleasure.
It'll be and I think with the global perspectives coming from gentlemen like Sam Onkuri from Johnson & Johnson and many others, I'm sure it will be a great engagement for us to also know how 3D printing is also taken in clear perspectives globally. So I'm sure it will be a great meet, and also tomorrow. So thank you so much, Mahesh, for your time.
Awesome. I look forward. Thank you. Thank you, Shivu, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.